Welcome back to Drive Your Journey. I'm your host, Fred Arnold, and I'm here with Nicole Stinson. We're talking about My Truth, and you have a wonderful guest, Alix Schwartz.
I do. Alix and I met. She went to USC, and we met for coffee one day. Just
What school?
USC.
Oh, my son goes to UCLA.
Oh, well,
I hope we don't have an argument right now.
Good rival there.
I'm sorry.
They're both great schools.
Yes.
Thank you. You're welcome. Alix and I met for coffee, and she was curious about what My Truth was, which most people are, and I was curious about her background, and it was like a puzzle coming together. Mm-hmm. Her mission right now fits so into the movement that I'm starting, so I was just sitting there in awe for an hour listening to her story of where she came from and where she's going and her passion, and I just wanted her to be able to tell you about that today.
Wonderful. Tell us about your story.
Yeah, I just want to first off say thank you so much for having me on the show. I think that it's these stories that allow people to be pushed forward in such positive ways that are really authentic, and so I'm super grateful to be here. So I really started off about 6 years ago. I fell into a really dark place when I graduated from my undergraduate degree at the Seasucky, we call it, but it's CSU Channel Islands. Yeah. And I really just didn't have a purpose. I kind of lost my value. I lost who I was, and I didn't know what I was doing. I was in the midst of trying to figure out if I should go to grad school or not. Well, long story short is I sat next to a beautiful human being by the name of Michelle Geelan, and she is a best-selling author. She's also married to Sean Aker, which was an incredible aftermath that I found out. But it was her words and her wisdom that very next day I signed up for a program that she introduced me to. I got into the program, which was the Introduction to Positive Psychology, and I will never be the person. I look back to that person 6 years ago, to who I am today. I give complete 100% credit to that program and to this one human. And so, back then I was like, my mission was really to be the hope that somebody needed in their life. Today, I've completely transformed to not only being that, but through my studies in positive psychology and in social work, I had the opportunity to travel the entire world and be a part of conversations, talking about happiness, talking about our youth. What are we doing to make sure that they're living in a flourishing society, or in a positive culture, school climate?
So important with mental health.
So important, right? That's the main topic these days. Mm-hmm. So with that, I was determined to write a book. So I graduated from college. I wrote a book called A Bright House. The two main characters are Bright and Hope, and it was really showing how one person can change your life for the better or for the worse. And in this case, it was 100% for the better. And so that is my mission. Now my mission is really, how do we spark conversation around human values? When we're trying to build civility in communities, when we're trying to just build our own purpose, when we're trying to find our passions, how do we listen to ourselves internally rather than all of the external things that are happening? So that's kind of my journey, and I sit here before you guys and say that, that it's okay to be the person that I once was, and I'm proud of the person who I am and continue striving to become.
It's kind of like Alix 4.0.
Kind of.
Yeah.
I mean,
and then Alix 5.0. But isn't that true in life? Don't we ever always evolve as people, as men and women, as parents, or whatever it is, whatever stage in life you are?
Yeah.
We're always moving to that next level. It's when you get stuck and don't realize that you need to get unstuck from that level. I want to ask you this about the younger generation, if you will, because they're stuck on their phones, right?
Yes.
Younger generation.
All generations,
That's true.
actually. All
That's
I'm
true.
the worst.
That is true. That is true. But particularly them, because I think the children now are more evolved than ever on social issues, on environmental issues, on race issues. It seems like their consciousness is so there. But do they have more pressure? It seems like they would be happier in the sense that they're at least conscious of the social issues going on in our time.
Yeah.
So what have you experienced through the conversations you've had with them on that?
Yeah, so I truly believe that, I don't know if it's so much pressure as if it's that they just don't feel that their voice matters, or that their voice has a spot at the table when it comes to the future and success of the community or the organization or just the environment that they're living in or that they're a part of. So I think that what that comes is we're being taught to kind of grow non-judgmental, brave spaces, but are we really doing that? What does that conversation look like when it comes to corporations, when it comes to, you know, the differences between our older generations and our upcoming younger generations? Knowing how can, I think more the question becomes, how can we turn this into a positive conversation? Maybe technology is taking over their world, but how can we use that to our advantage and say, what are they finding? What are they reading? What are they doing? How are they using their voices? And how are their values different from their families and from their friends and from their environment? Because that all plays a role for the future.
Yeah, yeah.
And so we often look at this whole technology piece as a negative thing. Sometimes it's not a negative thing. It is taking over, but we're also not looking within that to say, well, okay, if this is where you guys are going, what can we start doing to facilitate the conversation and make it more positive so that we're ensuring you have a more flourishing and successful future?
Brilliant.
Yeah, one of the things I found with social media is it's allowed you to have a bigger voice than you really thought you ever had.
Yeah.
That's true.
And so finding that empowerment as a youth, well, all of us
Yeah.
in society, being able to share our story, being able to get more information, being able to encourage or influence what you believe is right. And
I mean, now more than ever, we have ambassadors. What does ambassadors even mean? Ambassadors for clothing lines, ambassadors for tech lines, ambassadors for
Influencers.
influencers.
Yeah, that's it.
You know, and it's like we want to use our voice so much. Why?
Yeah.
What is missing? What didn't we have? That could be pressure. It could be just the fact that we're isolating ourselves. It could be that we don't know how to have a conversation with our parents. I mean, these are things that we just don't think about in our day-to-day.
Love it. Love the topic. Do you mind
Isn't she
sticking
awesome?
around?
You
Yeah,
see?
she is awesome.
Yeah.
I want to stick around. We're going
Yeah.
to talk about another topic with a group of lovely individuals. So we're going to jump to a quick break. Okay?
Thank you.
We'll be right back.